Hey people. So I did another run through of my event today, or another kind of partial run through. Basically, these are kind of like we're kind of like running experiments. Kyle and I are. We're just kind of like starting and playing around and kind of seeing where we're led. And I had a really interesting thing come through last night. I had kind of, we'd had the run through in the morning, and I'd had the day to sort of just reflect on how it went and what I was taking away from it. And what came through for me last night was it was kind of bizarre. Like I was sitting down to dinner, and this thought just literally out of nowhere just poofed into my head, and I realized, even though I'd kind of done all this work and this thinking about the difference between performance mode and discovery mode, and knowing some of my own patterns around giving a performance, like what that feels like and kind of what happens to me psychologically and emotionally when I feel like I'm putting that kind of pressure on myself. And what came through as I was sitting down to dinner randomly was, this is not a performance at all. It's actually like a lesson, but a lesson for a large group of people where I'm also going to be playing music. I'm going to be playing music on my own instead of like having a student do most of the playing as I do when I'm teaching a normal piano lesson. I'm going to be the one playing. It's kind of like I'm going to be, it's almost like you get to be the student. I get to kind of teach by being the student and teaching myself in a public way. It's kind of a weird. It's still crystallizing in terms of what to call that. But what I felt was an immediate sense of, like, I can let go of. There was still, even after all this thinking and all this kind of like looking at my performance patterns, there was still a very kind of performer-y pattern trying to get in there and turn this into something, put me in a place of needing to deliver a certain kind of thing or live up to a certain kind of thing. And it was really interesting. Like as soon as that thought landed in my brain, it was like it was like a wave of relief that went through me. And I was like, oh yeah, this can be really easy. Like this can literally just be me sharing my understanding of music, me sharing what I see, and then most of the content that I've prepared, to the extent that I prepared content, is all still valid and it's all still viable, but it just kind of shifts my own psychology in a way. And so then the run through this morning, we did a run and we ended up having Kyle a little bit more actively involved. Like we turned a lot of sections, we turned them into dialogue. So instead of like me talking about thoughts about a song or whatever, we would kind of bat ideas back and forth. And I immediately found, like, all of a sudden, like the little nuggets of things that I had prepared turned into like wormholes, and we could just follow, we could just really kind of duck and dive and find new little nuggets of inspiration. And just like it became a really fun experience to sort of be in dialogue as I'm also kind of like, here's a thought I've had, and then we kind of I build it a little bit, and then Kyle pops in, and then I jump in, and then I bring it to the piano and start playing, and it just turned into a really fun event. And like, we're doing another one tomorrow. We're continuing to explore what this format is. I think both of us kind of felt like this is a really good path to follow. This is a really good approach. So let's kind of run with this. But the thing that's still kind of sticking with me is this. Just two things, I guess. One is just the simple revelation of this thing that I've been thinking of as a performance when I switch into thinking of it as a lesson, it just completely shifts my psychology, and it completely shifts what I'm expecting of myself and what I think, just my expectations around what I'm delivering. And the other thing is, like, it just kind of opens a door to a whole new kind of performing, a whole new kind of, like, approach to me presenting what I know and giving what I know. It's bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me how ingrained these patterns are. It's kind of amazing. I mean, I suppose it shouldn't really be a surprise, but it kind of never ceases to surprise me how, it's like I get through one layer, and then there's just always another layer. I was saying this to another person today. Like, it's like, if we can just get okay with the fact that every time we see through a pattern, that's one layer, and there's gonna be another layer. There's always gonna be that next layer, and instead of, like, feeling like we should be further down the road, or feeling like we should be, I've already dealt with this layer. Why is this layer coming up again? That's like, well, you keep playing the same note, it's gonna keep reverberating. And just so instead of like judging, I just think I've done a post on this too. Like, instead of judging my non-judgment, judging my inability to be non-judgmental, just settling in and letting the next layer be there, being like, this must be the right layer for today, and going through it. That's really kind of the practice for me right now, is like getting really clear on the orientation, and how it's always about just being in the context of connection, always about being in a place of genuine giving, and then letting things come through. It's amazing to me how, when I shift into teaching, that door really opens for me. It's like it just unlocks me. All of a sudden, all my performery complexes just, like, vanish, and and all that stuff just goes away. And I think I've got to trust that, in a way. It's not that I don't ever want to perform again, or that I don't want to do formal performances again, but I'm finding a comfort zone that's in another area, that takes me to another area, and I think I've got to roll with that. I've got to go with that. I've got to let myself follow where my own inspiration is kind of leading me. So yeah, that's where I am today, folks. Love you all. Thank you so much for being in my life. I appreciate you. Look forward to talking to you again very soon. Bye-bye.